At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our board chair, Mr. Don Hayes, who will make some introductions and introduce one of our special guests for the evening.
Good evening. Can you hear me all right in the back? Okay. This is always a pleasure for me to take part in this activity. Those of you that know me know the highlight of my year is Best Foot Forward, because we highlight the talent of all of our kids in our system at all age levels, plus we highlight all of the knowledge, experience, and so forth that the arts that we try to fund as best we can here in the county. But I love highlighting those children because those are memories that they'll never forget. Well, in a sense, this to me is our best foot forward for our teachers tonight in looking at the best. And as a former classroom teacher from many years ago, I don't know how you do it. I mean, I really don't. It was bad enough back in the 70s and so forth when I taught. But today, with our society being what it is, it's not easy. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart for you teachers and administrators, because I know it's not easy. A couple more things I'd like to say, but before I do, I'd like to recognize my fellow board members that are here. Mrs. Jeanette Nichols, you've met. She's the board vice chair. Next to Mrs. Nichols is Mr. Ed Higgins, board member, and Mr. Bruce Shell, board member. The other is, this is a really busy time. Our board meeting last night, Dr. Markley, got over what time? Going on 11?
About 11 o'clock when I rolled in.
About 11 o'clock when we got through last night. Talked to Miss Kavanaugh. She was trying to make it, but broke her ankle. It's amazing. She's broken more stuff that over the years. I feel sorry for her. It's her ankle. She wanted to be here. I said, well, I'll let them know you tried, but with your broken ankle, it's slowing you down. So I look at this as best foot forward. And I'll mention to you briefly, and I'm glad to see Mike Kelly here. Mike, where are you? I saw you back over here. What year were you teacher of the year out at Laney? 2004. Well, what I'm going to say to you tonight, because Mike came up to me after I made some comments, has it been that long ago? You're getting old. I know. Where are you, Isaac Bear now, or Isaac Bear? I talked about three teachers and the influence they had on me in my life that I think contributed to a lot that I did later in life. And but I don't have a single favorite teacher. I have three, and I had them by grade levels. I looked at my elementary level, Ms. Beckert from Winter Park Elementary School. That's how old that school is. I went there in elementary school. And for those of you that don't know, where's Winter Park? Okay, I see. I still hold the record over there of being carried the furthest by the seat of the pants by the principal of any other student that's ever attended that school. Because that was back in the old days when they'd grab you and take you, and I was very small anyway, so it wasn't that difficult. But Ms. Beckert at Winter Park Elementary School always stood out as my favorite elementary teacher of all time. And where Mike comes into play is at Lake Forest Junior High School that I attended years ago. Miss McLeese was my science teacher over there. And then at New Hanover High School, where I attended high school, Sergeant Spann from the ROTC was my favorite high school teacher of all time. But as I thought about it, all three of those teachers had something in common. They were not easy. Mike, did Ms. McLeese smile a lot? She was very firm, very stern lady. But she loved her subject matter, and she could get that across to you, which made me, as she would say, want to go down to Wrightsville Beach. I thought the lady was crazy at first. She'd tell us, down at the end of the last night, and I was standing there, and she'd name off all these scientific, constellations, the scientific name, the common name, and I was just in awe of that. I wanted to be able to do, and to this day, Canis Major, Canis Minor, a lot of those things I could remember from her. But what they shared, and they shared with their students, they were tough, they were demanding, they were stern, but yet you knew they cared. And I found that to be very impressive. So as you carry on, and I know you'll be thought of in the future by many of these students as, you're their favorite teacher. And I've had students years ago that I run into every now and then And I know some of you might find this hard to believe, but I was their favorite teacher. And I was tough, but fair. And that's what's so important, because then they know you care. So at this time, what I'd like to do, and I saw the car out front. Here again, I'm disappointed. One car. Did we get this straight last year? Teacher of the Year gets a car. It would really help if you, the chairman, you know, I can help advertise for you also. We'll put signs on it. 400 to choose from. But at this time, it's a real pleasure on my part to introduce Tyrell Foreman. He's the Wilmington District Manager for Wells Fargo Foundation, and then he'll introduce his guests. But once again, it's a pleasure to be here tonight, and I love being in this great company with all these great teachers. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tyrell Foreman. I'm the district manager for Wells Fargo for our Wilmington and our Leland markets. I'm humbled and honored to be in the presence of those who have taken on the tremendous responsibility of developing the minds of our future leaders. On behalf of Wells Fargo, it's my privilege to offer our sincerest appreciation for your leadership and your commitment to your profession. As a banker, it's only appropriate that I quote George Peabody, a great philanthropist and investment banker in the 1800s, who once said, "Education is a debt due from the present to the future generations." At Wells Fargo, we share your belief that education is the most important investment we can make for our country's future. And honoring the practices of our educators in North Carolina is just one of the ways that Wells Fargo chooses to invest in education. You are our educational system's most important asset. Modern buildings, new books, computers, they're all great, but they can't have the positive impact without the tremendous teachers, principals, and administrators. We have been recognizing exceptional educators across North Carolina for many years. Wells Fargo has designated education as one of our primary focal points. And in 2015, we invested $80 million in 7,400 educational programs and schools across the country. I share this with you not to brag, but to let you know how committed Wells Fargo is to education and helping each of you make a difference every day. Thank you for everything you do for the lives of our young people every single day. We recognize what an enormous job you do and the tireless work ethic you have to do it on a daily basis. Congratulations to everyone, and enjoy the rest of your program.
Now, Mr. Foreman recently came to us from North Dakota, so I think he's moved to a slightly warmer area. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Susan Hahn from HR, and this is my favorite event of the year. It's one where we get to celebrate all of the great things that educators do. And although the job, I think, is one of the most challenging, it's also one that has some of the best rewards, and those rewards come from working with children. I had an opportunity last weekend to take my 4 grandchildren to Carowinds. Now, I did not take them by myself. Any of you know that ratio of 4 children to 1 adult is not a good one. So we like about 2 adults or 3 per child. But anyways, we went to the park, and it was awesome. I hadn't been in years since my own sons were little. And I was with them on some of the rides, the carousel, that kind of thing, nothing too exciting. So there was a roller coaster, and this is in the Snoopy Park. You know, it's not the Fury or any, the Vortex. It was kind of a simple roller coaster, and they wanted to go on, and I thought, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. But they need an adult, so my husband went with one, and this was one of the 5-year-olds, and they went on it, they're screaming, they had a great time, and they get off, and I thought, why am I standing here? I need to get on, take a risk, go for the ride. So I went with my granddaughter, who's 7, screamed my lungs out the whole time, but it was great. Because sometimes we do have to do that. We have to step outside, take a little bit of a risk, and that's what educators do every day. Great teachers take a risk when they work with children, when they try to get them to become the best they can be. And I was reading an article, it was talking about, it was from a book, American Heroes, you know, the teachers in the classroom, and they had 12 rules. One of the rules was that really good education is about risk-taking, about making a mess, because learning is chaotic. And it is. And so what it takes is a really passionate teacher to take those risks, to live with the mess, to let learning be chaotic, because that's how children learn. And that's what you all in this room have done. You have taken that risk, and you are making our children successful. And we're here to celebrate that and appreciate what you do for us. But not only are the educators in the room appreciative, so is the business community. We had several people, Marcia, Barbara, on our team out there asking if the community businesses wanted to help out, wanted to help recognize our great teachers. And this is the list up here of what the community wanted to do. Every one of these has contributed tonight to something for some of our winners. The gifts over there. And what it all says is that not only do we appreciate you, but so do those in the community. So with that, you should feel that your support is there, we appreciate what you do, and we're here to celebrate you tonight. Thank you.
There's one other introduction I'd like to make of one of our sponsors who's also here with us tonight, and that is Jack Morgan from Toyota. He'll come forward a little bit later and introduce his guest that's with him as well, because he'll have a special presentation to make at that time. All right, it is time now to meet our Teachers of the Year. Let me find my list. You will note a mistake in your program. Somehow Wrightsville Beach got left off. No, we have not given away the island or taken the bridge up. They're not in the program, but they are here tonight, and we will recognize them. Yes, on the program, not on this.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So at this time, if the board members will join us on stage. And while they're coming up, I was standing over here with Jack and Marcia. And Marcia was talking about when she was in the classroom. And I suspect it's the same way for all of you. She said every year she taught, tomorrow, that last day as they were leaving, she would cry. And not because she was glad to see them go, but because she was sad to see them go. That's what great teachers are like. They don't want to see their students leave, and they want to be with them and teach them every day. So just a little story while these folks were coming up. We will call the schools alphabetically. We'll ask you to come up this way. Dr. Hahn will help us in terms of handing out the awards. We will shake the board members' hands as we go through. So, from Alderman Elementary School, my pleasure to introduce Jessica Williams, your Teacher of the Year. From Anderson Elementary, Crystal Jones. From Ashley High School, Sandra Sosowski. From Bellamy Elementary, Elizabeth Keyser. From Blair Elementary, Amy Coderre. From Bradley Creek Elementary, Rebecca Stockard. From the Career Readiness School at Mosley, Kimberly Page Voorhees. From Carolina Beach Elementary School, Jessica Blair Williams. From Castle Hayne Elementary, Michael Jeffries. From Coddington Elementary, Melinda Durant. From College Park Elementary, Caitlin Perizella. From College Road Early Childhood Center, Linda Maxey. From Eaton Elementary, Laura Crowley. From Forest Hills, Mary Caitlin Fischetti. From Freeman Elementary, Ruth Pitzik. From Gregory Elementary, John Pellizzari. From Hoggard High School, Christy Lee. From Holly Shelter Middle, Nathaniel Culp, who could not be with us tonight. Holly Tree Elementary, Cheryl Tony Jones. From Howe Pre-K Center, Dana Hibbets. From Isaac Bear Early College High School, Michael Kelly. From Johnson Pre-K Center, Anna Kirby. From Lake Forest School, Denise Fowler. From Laney High School, Sharon Williams. From Murray Middle, Andrea Newby. From Murrayville Elementary, Brittany Brown. From Myrtle Grove Middle School, Lena Latham. From New Hanover High School, Kylie Marschuk. From Noble Middle School, William Graham. From Ogden Elementary, Kelly Balcom. From Parsley Elementary School, Christopher Walters. From Pine Valley Elementary School, Shanika Smith. From Roland Grice Middle School, Joel Kay. Could not be here with us tonight. From Sunset Park Elementary, Aaron Redmond. From Trask Middle School, Diana Woodlock. From Mary C. Williams Elementary, Don Solica. HR knows their alphabet, I skipped one. DC Virgo Preparatory Academy, Jeremy Bowie. Williston Middle School, Laura Butler. Wilmington Early College High School, Deborah Jones. Wyndham Park Elementary, Donna Hockey could not be here tonight, but her principal is here tonight. Riceboro Elementary School, Samantha Keller. Beach Elementary School, Hannah McMurray. Let's have one more round of applause for the 2016 Teachers of the Year. It is now my pleasure to introduce Laura Graham to the stage, who will announce our Elementary Teacher of the Year.
Good evening, everyone. I wrote a letter to the new Elementary Teacher of the Year, and so it goes. Dear Elementary Teacher of the Year, oftentimes we hear that teachers everywhere wear many hats. You wear the deserving and humbling hats first and foremost. The fact that you felt so touched to be recognized as the Teacher of the Year by your peers just because you do the work that you love makes you a humbling individual. When you were asked about your classroom, you excitedly described how you are always active and running around with your students integrating reading, writing, math, and science. This makes you a great and passionate educator. With your words, you are able to show how you strive to teach the whole child. You make learning authentic and meaningful through collaboration and integration. You also want to change the connotation of your profession. You know who you are. You want people to know that you are not just a PE teacher, but a teacher who happens to teach PE. You acknowledge and make the most out of the power you have by teaching the same almost 700 children every week for a span of 6 years. The relationships and influence that you establish with the families and children have the potential to have a lifelong impact on them. You are that teacher who does not only focus on a set of mandated academic goals, but rather the one teacher that promotes the long-term development and success of all of your students. You know that teaching and learning goes beyond a set of skills, that teaching is not just preparing our students for something, but preparing them for anything. In this room, we all know that good teachers know how to teach the standards, great teachers know how to teach their kids, but outstanding teachers know how to teach both. You are outstanding. It is because of this that you are able to instill confidence and a growth mindset in all of the students at your school. What you do matters every day. You are able to teach your students that it is not just their abilities and talent that bring them success, but that resilience and effort are the basis of great accomplishments in every area. This makes you inspiring. Your impressive knowledge about the research and influence of bilateral movement in literacy development proves that you know that it's people, not programs, that determine the quality of education. This makes you exceptional. And in all honesty, you had me at research. Your unique ability to bring parents and your community together through activities like Jump Rope for Heart, and the fact that you strive to make them aware of the risks and impacts of heart disease in our society makes you an advocate. No matter how good you already are, you still want to be better, not only for your students, but your community as well. From a parent point of view, well, I cannot help but be inspired by your commitment to the students that you teach and coach. You are that person who offers them the possibility of a turning point in their lives. As a child, you were a student who lived for PE Day. You know that many of your students are just like you, and that the highlight of their week is PE. You capitalize on this love for PE, and you help children transition this love for PE into a love for learning and for school. Please know that you are showing your very own 4 children that the goal is not to be successful. The goal is to be valuable. Your administration knows that you are the teacher everyone wants their child to have because you have the ability to make people want to do better. They also think that you are irreplaceable, and we feel honored to recognize you tonight. Please join me in welcoming the 2016-2017 New Hanover County Elementary Teacher of the Year, Mr. Christopher Walters, PE teacher at Parsley.
Wow. This is very humbling. Indeed, for me, as a kid, like she said, who lived for PE Day to make it through and to be recognized as not only a Teacher of the Year for my school, but elementary for the county. I mean, it's an honor. Thank my wife, it's the best team partner I could have. Thank you. My administration for pushing me, believing in me, and always making me go harder. My mom, who texted me and said she was watching on broadcast. She was always worried I wouldn't graduate, but I made it. I'm here. I get to every day go in and do not a job. It's something I truly love, and it makes teaching a lot easier when it's like that. I mean, as you know, because that's why you're here as well. So thank you. I'm honored. Have a good night.
Would Mr. Gregory Law come forward to introduce our middle school Teacher of the Year?
Good evening. I'd like to take a moment to thank the New Hanover County School Board of Education, along with Dr. Markley and Dr. Hahn and Barbara Saunders and Marsha Kearns and Andrea Rains and all the people that made it a wonderful year for me as Teacher of the Year, so thank you. But tonight I have the pleasure of introducing the Middle School Teacher of the Year. In the middle of this school year, I had the opportunity to attend a workshop at New Hanover High School on robotics. On the way into the building, I ran into a very sharply dressed man that was heading to the same place as me and looked just as lost. When we came around the front courtyard, I heard a group of students yell this person's name, and they came running towards us. He very calmly took his hand out and said, "Settle down and tell me where the media center is." And they did. But from that little moment right there, I could tell there was something special about this person. And throughout the day, we worked together during the training, and I left that day with his name, his school, and I knew I would see him one day somewhere doing something very special. Fast forward to about 2 weeks ago during the Teacher of the Year interviews, in walks that same very sharply dressed man. And my instincts were right. Here he is doing something great. He was chosen as one of our finalists for Teacher of the Year. Throughout the interview, I found myself struggling to write down what he was saying because all I wanted to do was listen to his answers. He had me hooked, as he does every day with his students in his classroom. All of his responses were wonderful, yet a couple truly describe the great educator that he is. When asked, if you could instill only one value in your students, what would it be and why? With no hesitation, he turned, his face grew stern, and he said, respect. He said he expressed that throughout his life he was not always the smartest person competing for something, yet respect that his family instilled in him got him what he wanted. Another great response during his interview was being okay with not knowing. This is his motto when trying to reach his diverse population of learners. He stated, knowing everything doesn't mean that you know the culture. With these thoughts, he allows himself to get to know his students so they feel comfortable in asking questions and creates a culture of thinkers. But the answer that stuck with me the most is when we asked him, how do you know that you're meeting your students' needs? He said, the common answer is assessments, but assessments don't tell the whole picture. And then he proceeded to tell a story that summarizes why he is our middle school teacher of the year. He shared that at recess one day, 2 students were arguing and becoming a little physical with one another. So he gathered all his students around and he asked them, in hopes to teach them a life lesson, so he asked them, what do you see happening here? And one student from the back of the crowd very excitedly raised his hand, and he chose him, and that student said, forces in motion. And right there, he knew that he is reaching his students' needs. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very excited to introduce to you our 2016-2017 Middle School Teacher of the Year, Mr. Jeremy Bowie.
Wow. I must say, with no question in my mind, that tonight is so amazing. Every day we go into a very interesting environment, as all of you know. I work over at DC Virgo, and some days you want to walk out and say, you know what, forget it. I'm not coming back. But then you look in the eyes of a child and you realize they need me. And that's what drives me back there every morning. And I'm so grateful to work with such great people. I'm just one of a number of great individuals that stand in front of our students over on the north side every day. And it's just an honor to be here. I always want to say thank you to my principal, I'm an upcoming principal, to Ms. Hill Black, who is one of our administrators here. A special thanks to my darling wife, Tiana, who's always on my side. And a special thank you to all of you wonderful people here. And thank you for this honor. And I will do my very best to continue to do what I do every day. Thanks so much.
It is my pleasure to invite the District Teacher of the Year, the Regional Teacher of the Year, and last year's High School Teacher of the Year to introduce our High School Teacher of the Year, Ms. Katie Schneider.
What an amazing year this has been for me, and I'm very excited to be back here again tonight and get the opportunity to announce the next High School Teacher of the Year. In all of my spare time over the past year, yeah, that's a joke, because I haven't had much. But in that limited spare time, I have tried to take up the hobby of gardening. Well, I'm terrible. I don't even have, my thumb is nowhere even close to green. And I'm not kidding. I bought a plant, and within 3 days, it was already turning brown. But any gardener, even one with my level of talent, understands the importance of planting marigolds. Marigolds are the ultimate companion plant. You can plant one next to any garden vegetable, and that vegetable will grow big and strong and healthy. But gardeners also know to be careful when planting walnut trees, because walnut trees give off a toxic substance which will ultimately kill other plants. Teachers can learn something from gardeners, because in every school there are walnut trees, there are marigolds, or some combination of both. The marigolds are those teachers who bring others and the entire teaching profession up. Their passion for teaching and learning is contagious, and all teachers and students are inspired by them. But you must beware of those walnut trees, for negativity towards teaching is toxic, and they will suck the life out of others. This is especially good advice for our new teachers who must find the marigolds in their building to ensure that they are supported through their early years in the profession. Well, our next high school teacher of the year is one of those marigolds. She has spent the duration of her extensive career in New Hanover County supporting the growth of her students, new teachers, teacher interns, and all of her colleagues. She is the marigold in the building that helps all others flourish. In the current climate of our state, she remains a marigold and advocates for the new teachers at her school. She values recruiting and retaining high-quality teachers, but also in supporting the development of veteran teachers, which are becoming a rare breed. Though our next high school teacher of the year is a true marigold amongst her colleagues, she is even more supportive of her students. She challenges her students to further their own learning experiences through authentic, experiential, and inquiry-based learning. She believes that all students are capable of learning and that knowledge must be accessible for each one of them. This active engagement among students starts the second they walk into her classroom. In describing her classroom, she used one word: messy. But the students say that it is the coolest classroom ever. And it smells like squid. You see, this year's high school teacher of the year teaches oceanography, and she created the Marine Science Academy from scratch, which is the only one like it in the district and in the entire state of North Carolina. The Marine Science Academy is a partnership between New Hanover County Schools, the University of North Carolina Wilmington, Cape Fear Community College, the North Carolina Aquarium at Fort Fisher, and other agencies. Through this program that she has created, her students experience science in our city. The students learn about marine science through experiential learning opportunities, including field research, participating in internships, summer enrichment experiences, college-level laboratory experiments, and even the chance to go scuba diving. This program is teaching students a lot more than just science. They are also learning real-world skills like collaboration, sustainability, and community involvement. This year's High School Teacher of the Year said, "The Academy is designed to nurture the next generation of marine scientists as they explore possible solutions to many of our complex environmental challenges of our community, coastal ocean, and the world." Through the Marine Science Academy, this year's Teacher of the Year and her students are working with scientists to study relevant topics like the jellyfish crisis and the changes in our ocean over the past 30 years. The program extends beyond our community as well and is impressing teachers from all over the country. In fact, a group from Charleston, South Carolina has inquired about learning more from this teacher in an effort to create a similar program. She is truly making a difference and an impact in the lives of her students, colleagues, the entire district, and throughout the country. Please join me in congratulating our 2016-17 New Hanover County Schools High School Teacher of the Year, a true marigold, Mrs. Sandra Soselsky.
Today is World Ocean Day. We celebrate it all week. Thank you very much. I think it's been such a pleasure to see so many former colleagues, current colleagues here this evening, and to know how much we've all invested in this career that we love so passionately. But one of the greatest joys is sitting down at a table and realizing one of my former students is also a Teacher of the Year. from Carolina Beach Elementary School, and that is the greatest pleasure of all, to know that we make that impact. Miss Blair Williams. So she was in the first graduating class from Ashley, and she was in my class, oceanography. Thank you very much. I didn't have any notes prepared, but thank you very much.
Folks, let's give our three finalists for each grade level one more round. All right, I'm going to ask Mr. Jack Morgan to come up with us from Hendrick Toyota. For those who walked in, there is a nice Toyota waiting out there for the next person we're going to announce. And compliments of Jack at Hendrick Toyota. And I'll let him say a few words before we announce who our Teacher of the Year is.
Thank you very much, Dr. Markley. I'll tell you, for a lot of you that I know out here, my wife is an educator at Myrtle Grove, and a little shout out to the Myrtle Grove team, the Grove. But, you know, I understand what you guys do every single day, and I have to tell you, as somebody in the business community, we appreciate what you do because you influence our business, but more importantly, you influence our employees, their children, and thank you for what you do. And this is, I wish that I could walk up here and hand a card to every single one of you. I wish we could, but thank you for what you do.
All right, so without further ado, it is my pleasure and honor to announce the 2016-17 Teacher of the Year, Mr. Christopher Walters of Parsley Elementary.
I used all I had last time. All I can say is I'm humbled. Never would I have imagined I would be here. When you work with the group of kids that I work in, they come to your gym, and before they can ever get in the door, what are we playing today? What are we playing today? And just to be able to go in there and work with them and teach them and see those light bulbs come on, and you see them year after year and how they progress and how they grow, I know I'm in the right field. I know I'm doing the job that I was meant to do, and I love every day of it. And thank you. I'm honored. I'll do my best to represent New Hanover County Schools as Teacher of the Year. Thank you.
Why are you so much? Well, I'll tell you, on behalf of the team at Hendrick Toyota, welcome to our family.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Jack, thank you. All right, we have one more award to announce tonight. It is our Principal of the Year. I've always said that the hardest job is when you, the teacher, close that door and it's you and 30 students. But the job of setting the tone for everyone in that building falls to the principal. They set the tone and direction. And I've always said that if you walk into a building after a principal has been there for a couple of years, the building will feel like that principal. It'll have that feel. So it is my pleasure, first of all, to announce our three finalists. If they would stand, Ms. Mary Paul Beal of Isaac Bear could not be with us this evening. Miss Amy Oots, Mary C. Williams Elementary School. And Dr. Steve Sullivan of John T. Hargett High School. And the winner, normally we ask the last year's Principal of the Year to come up, but he slid across the river, so it'll be my pleasure to talk a little bit about our winner. This principal has had one of those years as a principal you almost never want. Work was tough. When you went home, things were tough at home, but he has persevered and leads one of our largest schools. And it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Steve Sullivan, your Principal of the Year.
Like Mrs. Selsky, I didn't really have much planned on saying today, but as Mr. Foreman said earlier, I too am quite honored and quite humbled. There are a lot of principals in this room, and I respect and admire every one of you. And in my opinion, you all deserve this more than I do. I had someone ask me the other day about being a principal. I said, it's the greatest job in the world. But when you work at a school where you have good students, supportive parents, and great teachers, it makes your job very easy, so I'm very lucky that way. I'm also lucky to work in a county that supports their principals. Dr. Markley, the Board of Education, and all the departments here do a great job of support, and I appreciate that. I'm also very fortunate to have a wife who supports me, been beside me as a principal for 10 years. I think being a spouse of a high school principal is much harder than being a principal itself, so I appreciate that. I'd also like to thank Ms. Snyder. Last year I knew she was a great teacher, but last year I got to see her as a great teacher leader. I heard her stump speech 3 or 4 different times, and each time it resonated within me. There was a quote that she used at the legislative luncheon. She talked about, it was a quote I had used in a newsletter I sent out a few months earlier, and it was by Rita Pierce, I believe it was. And it started off, every kid needs a champion. And she followed up with that every teacher needs a champion. And I grew to learn over listening to her the past year how important it is to support our teachers, how important it is to give them the things they need to be professional and to carry on the great job of education. And she really pressed home this message to me, and I've learned to be a different principal because of that. And I also want to add one more phrase to that every administrator, every assistant principal, every principal needs a champion too. And we're very fortunate to work in a county that champions all of our teachers, all of our students, and all of our principals. I'm very thankful to be here, so thank you all.
That concludes our program. I would like to once again give everyone who is here tonight a round of applause. I would again like to thank our primary sponsors, Wells Fargo, who's been with us for a long time. Thank you. To Jack at Toyota, you guys have been wonderful partners. We could not do these events without you. Human Resources Department, who puts this together. I show up, they hand me a script, and I read the script. But they went out and they knocked on doors to get this. They've done the work to do this. They got to listen to the presentations from amazing teachers. Thank you to all of you folks. I'd like to thank our school board who are here tonight and those who couldn't be here tonight. They provide that vision for the direction that we're going. Folks, we are blessed to work in a great school system. I am blessed to walk into your schools and your classrooms and see some amazing things happen each and every day. We're going to send our students home tomorrow in traditional calendars. we're going to shed a few tears, Marcia, and we're going to miss them until they come back next year. I want to thank you all. It is a beautiful day out there today. Tomorrow's supposed to be even nicer, and it's nice because of the work that we do and what you do every day in the schools. Thank you and have a good evening.